Did I bite off more than I could chew? Did I act too fast? Yes, but don't worry about it. Welcome, it's Mids Watches, coming near the end. It's one of the last 7 or 8 episodes, and this guy, he's just started on his map, started on his field reports, and he's wondering, is he going a little too hardcore? Is he not calibrating properly? Is this too quick for his capabilities? You be the judge. So Wednesday, the guy's blue pill, 12-year marriage, he's got 2 kids, 5 and 7. The last 6 years have been maybe once or twice in total. Sex, constant fighting, and he's miserable. Keep in mind too, remember that for all the stuff you see on here. 6 years, laid twice, in a marriage, with kids and a family. This is the nightmare scenario for guys. This is the quintessential example. So he figured this place out on Thursday, bought the prerequisites, got 41% of the way through No More Mr. Nice Guy. And today, he's like, I'm going to start somewhere. Here's how it goes. Text my wife midday, say I need to pick up the kids from school so that I can buy groceries and get dinner. She says, okay. Calls later while he's in the middle of cooking and asks if he can help pick up the kids. Oh, he needs her to pick up the kids, right. He says, I can't, and she does it. I figure, is this a shit test? The kids are difficult to get out of school at the end of the day. They love it there, they're hungry, and they're tired, and they give each other a hard time. So before dinner, my youngest runs out of toilet paper, craps himself. He needs help wiping, so my wife does it with tissues and plugs the toilet. I don't remember what she told me or asked to unplug it, but I bought her a plunger and asked her to try first. She says no. I will tell her I'm not unplugging it. She unplugs it and then doesn't come to dinner for 40 minutes. We have recently been trying to make a dinner a special event for our family. It seems to be working for the kids as they're enjoying trying new foods. Dinner goes okay. We bathe the kids, tuck them in. As we're saying goodnight to the kids, I let her know I have to run to the store. It's after 8 and the stores I need to get to close at 9. Going shopping for groceries without a list, which she hates, and a present for her birthday that she doesn't know about. When I get back home, it's dark, the porch light's not on, and I know this is on purpose because she always leaves it on for me so I know how to get home. So she did this on purpose to mess with me. I ignore it, I assume it's a shit test. When I get to the kitchen, she says clean the kitchen. Now most nights he does, and she helps at the end when she's doing the kids' lunches. I respond by telling her, don't talk to me like that, and tell her to clean the kitchen. I'm not doing it tonight. Then he leaves. She tells me for Mother's Day she would like to talk to a counselor or a lawyer. I tell her if she were to say, can you please clean the kitchen, that I would be happy to do it, even now. She says no, counselor or lawyer. So lots of other angry shit comes out, to which I feign indifference, and I'm like, you're not a friend, you're not a father, you're not an acquaintance. All this stuff would have had me going through the roof, freaking out on other days. In fact, if this was 2 days ago, I'd be cleaning the kitchen yelling right now. Instead, she's doing it while I type this. I feel like it escalated pretty fast, although she said crap like this plenty of times before. So should I have gone on being the little simpish bitch doing chore play while I read up on the prereqs and the wiki, etc.? There's an update, but nothing has changed. So Jack chimes in. Oh, by the way, let's do my take first. Let's do my takers. Yes and no. Yes, in that he did too much, in that he was trying to assert himself in a very ham-fisted way. He escalated unnecessarily, conflict, yada, yada, yada. Having said that, it's a start. He made an attempt to assert himself. If he can learn what mistakes he made and why, he can then make less mistakes the next time or no mistakes at all. In this case, it's not a case where he's a piece of shit dad and the girl's having to step up. It's a case he is a really good dad, but he's afraid of his wife, walking on eggshells, bed of nails, whatever metaphor you want to use. And ultimately, that's ruined his sex life, it's ruined his marriage, and now when he's starting to assert himself, of course she's going to push back. Of course she's going to push back. Whether he could have done a very perfect boundary enforcement, and she still would be the same cunty bitch who was always here. So, at this point, it's a starting place. So Jack chimes in, Jesus Christ, that was horrible. All right, so here's how this is going to work. I'm going to quote your post and respond with my thoughts. Words are not going to be kind. All right, blah, blah, blah.
From the author and content creator that brought you the heartfelt, the F trophies for clout, the 6-foot-tall Tate, and the not funniest member of Rule Zero, Volume 2, Dread.
brings up the marriage first off. It's like, this isn't even roommates and a best friends forever situation. This is an arranged co-parenting situation where you guys don't even like each other. Your marriage is already probably dead. In the past several years, I've doubt you've given your wife many reasons for her want to be married to you, and her the same. In other words, your value is way too low to be this confrontational this soon. You're going to be a bull in a china shop and wondering why your wife is annoyed at all the shattered porcelain. Brings up No More Mr. Nice Guy. So that is a book mainly about asserting boundaries. What you should have done is read the whole fucking book before you ran your mouth. Then you should have thought about the boundaries in your marriage and how you want them to change. It sounds like you have some problems with the boundaries around running your household. Well, you should have put together a plan on how you think the household should be run and then start enacting that plan one step at a time. Instead, you abruptly started demanding dramatic differences in how the household should be run with no plan and no vision. So to your wife, it just looks like you're dumping a bunch of shit on her lap. Depending on the foundation of your marriage before swallowing the red pill, you may have been able to do this with minimal disruption, but you definitely don't have that foundation now. And then it was the thing about the toilet paper, the plunger, and the wife plugging the toilet. This is so sad, it's hilarious. It's tissues in a toilet, dude. It's like 2 pumps with a plunger, assuming your son isn't shitting in a 19th century outhouse. If the Blue Pill subreddit made a comedy about their obviously misguided and correct perception of the red pill, this screenplay would be in that scene. As a silver lining, they'd probably want to cast Ben Stiller as the clueless beta husband whose wife has to unclog the toilet because he's too busy dicing tomatoes. Which, that's a bit harsh, but whatever. And then he talks about the shopping list, how she hates when he goes shopping without a list. She hates it because she doubts your competence. She thinks you're running the household and you can't possibly remember everything without her specifically outlining it. So she's taken the reins of captain, which she didn't even want to do, and then she's frustrated that you're so useless. I'd link to my dysfunctional captain post from a couple months ago, but linking to shit on Reddit is annoying. And you'd probably only read 41% of it. Next to the line where he's like, you can't talk to me like that. He's like, fucking hell, man. If you spent more than 5 minutes here, you would have learned about techniques like agree and amplify, muse mastery, and fogging. One of the easiest ways to deal with a compliance test like this is simple teasing. What's the magic word? If they act shitty in response, just keep teasing them. That was the magic word, but it's different now. Guess again. So that line about, you're not a friend, you're not a father, you're not even an acquaintance. Shit talking between the wife and the husband. He's like, everybody else is probably going to be focused on this. And yeah, this is grade A bitch stuff for her to say. And look, maybe I'm wrong about everything. Maybe you make a 6-figure salary, you already hit the gym and you're ripped and jacked, and you already run a successful household, and you just happen to be married to an ungrateful, shrill, harpy bitch who fucked you once every 3 years despite all of that. Or maybe, you've been kind of useless as a husband and a father and a man, and she's already been entertaining the idea on how much easier it would be if she didn't have to deal with you as dead weight in her life. Now, neither of those extremes are likely true, but I can guess which side of the spectrum you're closer to. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pause there because there's like an important thing here. So here's the thing. This is why I always refer to Jack as the sober second thought. And it's easy for us to become the judge and King Solomon of this. Like, is she being a raging bitch? Or is he being a useless dad? And the argument, basically it's yes. The answer is yes. To some extent, both of them are. But as a guy, you can only change your side of the equation and then hold boundaries against the other side. And that's why we don't really deal with like, just tell that bitch and hold that bitch accountable, because it doesn't fix anything. All it does is creates conflict. That's why Myron's an idiot. In this one, what he can do, are you useless? Fix all that. Well, what about her? We'll worry about her after. We can't change her. We can change you. But then once you have that foundation in place, you can either assert boundaries and then she won't act like a bitch to you, or you'll assert boundaries and she does act like a bitch to you and you kick her out in the curb. But either way, you're best positioned to take advantage of both situations. That's outcome independence. Outcome independence. Which it comes out here as in like, you're just useless twat. So the guy asks, like, should I have just continued to be that supplicative bitch? And he's like, at the risk of sounding controversial, yes. I think because you're not even a good beta male, you're not even the 100% provider, 0% lover, you're just useless. And yeah, you do some household stuff and you probably have some sort of job and you love your kids, you try to be a good father, but that's like a D+ husband performance. And yeah, it sucks to think, well, I bring home a paycheck and I do my share of household shit and I raise my kids as much as I can. Why is my wife a bitch? Because that's not enough. Your wife can bring home a paycheck and do shit around the house too. If you're making her unclog toilets, then what the fuck does she need you for? Husbands, at least here in the West, are supposed to have good jobs. They're supposed to run a household. They're supposed to own the things. They're protect and secure the family, maintaining fitness, all that stuff. That's a lot of work. And all we really want in return is for our wives to look pretty, be sexually available, and be kind. And most of the advice in here is built on the assumption that you've already accomplished all that. If you don't like that deal, get divorced, hang out with the guys on the red pill, and I wouldn't blame you. I think all of us would love to join you, but it is what it is. So he's like, yeah, read, lurk, focus more on improving your value, the passive stuff, the very first parts of Dread, the working out, the shape, the diet, making sure your house is clean. Clean your room. Clean your room. Don't take Benzies. Until then, given the state of your marriage right now, I would not worry about asserting yourself until you've got your shit together. You shouldn't be beta, but if you focus too much on being the alpha male before you're ready, all you're going to do is spawn confrontations when you're not nearly able to maintain frame against them. The rest is just a reiteration from that, so we'll skip that bit, and then here. Look, if you've read this far, which I haven't, but he did, then I'm sure all the above sounds harsh, but I wouldn't have taken the time to write this if I didn't think there was a chance it would be helpful and you weren't completely beyond redemption. And this sentence I'm quoting here was to indicate that to me that you, despite all of your other ways you fucked up today, are still capable of getting it. And the line was, I know she doesn't like how the beta me never addressed her car safety stuff because you described not addressing her car safety as beta behavior. And it is. Your children should not be riding in a vehicle with bald tires and worn brakes. Yes, it's your wife's car, and you probably shouldn't have felt very motivated to help her, but that's irrelevant. Is your family better off with a serviced car or not? The answer is yes. So the answer is just get the fucking car serviced. So he's like, yeah, so I can see, no matter what mistakes you make, like, I see you're capable of understanding the things here. So stop worrying about shit tests. Take the car in, just walk home. It's a 30-minute walk. Something tells me your fitness could use the help anyway. Now, to sum all this stuff up, is this a messy field report? Absolutely. Is the guy in a complete state of disrepair to start? 2 bed sessions in 6 years. Think about that. Think about that level of misery. And the fact that this guy's able to hold it together as well as he did is nothing short of a miracle. Most guys love to imagine themselves pulling a Michael Douglas falling down after a 6-month dry spell. This guy's 6 years into it. Something to think about. Yeah, but they're going too fast, and arguably the thing about going too fast, finish the sidebar first. Go through No More Mr. Nice Guy, learn about being learning about holding boundaries. Go through When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, learn about being assertive. Go through Practical Female Psychology, go through The Rational Male, you get a basic fundamental understanding of why the blank slate theory is bullshit, and you can understand the nature of men and women, at the very least enough of it to be able to formulate a plan. Make small progress, or make big progress and jump in. It's all based on how quickly do you learn. If you find you're learning things quickly, break it and fix it. Move on. A lot of guys were hardcore that way. I was like that, a lot of guys are very slow. They need constant repetition to get there, and there's no shame in it. You will learn at the pace you learn. So just make sure when you're enforcing boundaries, make sure when you're avoiding nice guy stuff, validation seeking, wading into that little conflict zone because you're good at amuse mastery, just don't bite off more than you can chew. And if you do, just keep that in mind. There's a word for it. Calibration.